I see Niall has just added Jim. Jim, you're most welcome to turn on your camera, as is Tracey and Paul. So thank you for joining us. This next panel discussion, we're going to talk about how to balance part-time or full-time study with very busy lives. And I know Paul, you're joining us as a student, and current student, and we'll talk about that in a second. And of course, Jim and Tracey, you're part of our graduate community. So we might start off with you, Tracey. You're the Executive Director at SkillNet Ireland. You did the Masters in Human Resource Management. So maybe just tell us a little bit about your postgrad experience and what it was like studying.
Unmute. The one thing we all learned this year, it was a Master's in Human Resource Strategy, and a long time ago now, but it was excellent experience. I had always really wanted to do a Master's for a number of years. In my experience, I did an undergraduate degree, didn't particularly like college as an undergraduate, and but still wanted to achieve a degree. So went a Master's, and I did it. And like some of the earlier speakers were saying, I was concerned about how would I manage a part-time Master's with a very busy job, and how would I do it? And I even made a pact with my sister that because I had to pay for it, if I couldn't manage it, I could just leave. I'll give it a go, because I honestly didn't know if I would manage it with a full-time job, but I had a supportive employer, and I invested that time and energy, but I got so much more out of it. Both the Masters, a great impact on my career, fantastic network, and really brilliant, I suppose, new knowledge and new ways of thinking. And I've always applied those, I suppose, skills I learned even at that time. And I'll be quiet now, but the most important thing was confidence. For me, I really got a lot of confidence out of it. And then I had a belief that I could, say, achieve this, but also achieve other things.
Thank you for that, Tracey. And we'll talk about what it was like to combine all the busy aspects of your life in just a moment. Jim, we might come to you next. Up until very recently, you were superintendent with An Garda Síochána. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your MA in Ethics, Corporate Responsibility?
Yes, Ross. Well, the Masters in Ethics, Corporate Responsibility, as you know, this year was awarded 37th place in the world in respect of Masters programs featuring corporate social responsibility. It's a 6-module course, ran over 2 semesters, over 2 years. The modules go from a broad range of different ethical theories, business concepts such as CSR, corporate citizenship, stakeholder theory. It also covers implementing effective ethics cultures and finance and corporate governance, which for me was a seamless transition because my undergrad was in leadership and governance. So, and this is kind of the holy trinity for someone in public sector management, very much on message at the time. The organization was going through massive organizational change, culture change, governance, and codes of ethics were very much to the fore. And as a manager there, I would have been responsible for driving that out and leading that out in the district that I was in, which is Longford district. So for me, it was the right choice. And I suppose having, I sat there one summer and I said, look, before I had looked forward to sitting in a garage and having a cup of tea and reading the paper, and I thought, this is a waste of time. This was after the undergrad. And I said, I need to get busy again. And I applied for the Masters, and it was the right choice for me.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Jim. And the need to get busy again. And if anyone in the audience is in that space, then a postgrad study is certainly for you. Paul, you're a current student. You're joining us from France. Are you this evening?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're doing the Masters in Electronics and Computing Engineering. Tell us a little bit about why you chose to come to DCU.
So hi everyone. So I decided to join DCU during the Master of Engineering in Electronic and Computing Engineering, as you said. because first, it was for me a good opportunity to improve my English first, because DCU is a university in partnership with my school in France, sorry, which is called ESCGELEC. And so it was a good opportunity also to improve some skills related to some field such as programming, network, and artificial intelligence. And to be honest, I didn't regret it at all, because it was a very nice experience this year, even with the COVID, and it was very interesting.
And Paul, you talk about a very busy program, and no doubt that it was. But I know you were living on campus, so you were right on our doorstep here. But you, as a part of your kind of work-life balance, if you like, you spend a lot of time in the park running and clearing your head and enjoying that aspect of being a student too.
Yeah. So yeah, as you said, it was a very tough year. There were a lot of assignment and homework to do. So yeah, I really like doing sports and more especially running. And so because there is a big park just next to the campus, so it was very nice to go running just to evacuate the pressure and clear my mind. And yeah, you said also that I had a very busy schedule, a busy week, because I was also a teacher assistant. And so I was giving support to 2 different modules, which were personal and professional development and applied mathematics. And so yeah, it was quite challenging to work on all these different jobs and homeworks too. But it was nice, and everything went well.
Great, and thanks for sharing that with us. And Tracey, we might come back to you for a moment, because you were, you were HR manager, I think, in Aircom at the time of commencing your postgrad study, and your lectures were every Wednesday from 2 to 8 p.m. So obviously you need to be able to balance everything in your work life, personal life, and then study life as well. What was that like?
Well, it was very hard, and it did take a lot, because one of the reasons I did the Masters in Human Resource Strategies was I wanted to become a HR manager. So when I first started the program, actually, I was in human resources, but I wasn't a HR manager. So I achieved that through the Masters. But what I did do was, sometimes it meant I actually still ended up having to do a full week's work, but just have some longer days either side of the Wednesday, and put a lot of the assignments that I did at the weekends, because I'm the kind of person who needs to work early in the day. I can't work, till 2 o'clock in the morning, like I know a lot of people can. I'd be better off getting up early in the morning, maybe do, really early, and doing assignments. So I think what I did was I made sure not to leave things to the end, and do pre-work on assignments when you get them, because a lot of the deadlines come together. So making sure that I was kind of staggering myself, getting work done. Also making use of work-based projects, because I was in a job. A lot of the assignments are so valuable to yourself and your employer. So I would actually have opportunities within my job to undertake either research for assignments, or discussions with people.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I did. I really tried to make sure to use project-based.
Yeah, and just on that, obviously, do the way the lectures were for you on a Wednesday, and you've got to leave work early, and you need to have a good, open, and honest relationship with your employer as well. But how beneficial for the employer to know that even though you are away from the office, you're actually at the cutting edge of research, theory, and application, and you applied some of your assignments to actually improving the day job. Yeah,
I did. And one of the great things from it is the meeting the other people in your class who are working in many other companies. So you're learning best practice from other companies, and also from the expert speakers and lecturers from DCU. So one of the companies I just remember with a lot of speakers from was the ESB, and ESB has a really great human resource I suppose, organization, and are always leading practice in many ways. So I was able to learn so much from the policies and practices from other companies and bring them back to our own. And, leading edge things in diversity at the time, which it has grown a lot since in diversity and inclusion, but diversity was one of the areas I was able to bring back to our business and introduce new policies and flexible working, but also learn a lot from other people who are in the legal side of human resources. So I think that was of great value, and my employers did see it as excellent value. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So many messages wrapped into that answer for anybody in the audience. Tracey, thank you for that. Like being organized, being aware and understanding yourself as to how you work best. Do you work best in the mornings? Are you better later in the evenings? Is it best to just put some time away at the weekend for assignments, staying on top of assignments and getting them done on a timeline of your own? And the big thing there is that open and honest relationship with the employer. And the key to that is actually working smart and studying smart and making sure that you can apply a lot of your assignments to improving the workplace for the employer. Jim, we're going to bring you in on this point. So you have this great plan in your head. You know you're going to wake up first thing Saturday morning. You're going to get one of the assignments boxed off. But being a superintendent with An Garda Síochána, sometimes you wake up and your day off doesn't end up being a day off. Can you share any examples with us of where in a busy role and an unpredictable role like yours, sometimes you have to adapt?
Well, Ross, in any working environment, when you're working and studying, I suppose the next crisis is only around the corner. So, you touched on it there. You've got to work smart. You've got to manage your energy, not your time, identify the energy and when it's best for you to work, but also you've got to be a bit selfish and disciplined and, commit. Because you're getting a lot of support, you're getting family support, you're getting support from your colleagues in DCU, from the director, and you've got to honor that support by committing. And, you try and get ahead, you said get on top of the work. And I suppose January 2020, I had started actually in August 2019, I had started beginning to draft my minor thesis. And I was, going through the schedule in accordance with what Alan Kearns had said, and I was getting through chapter 1, getting my mindset on chapter 2. I also had an assignment for the end of that semester that finished before Christmas, and come into January, and I had a week there where we had a number of arson incidents, shootings, all feud related, managing 8 different feuds with 14 different families ongoing, and we had a crime call program to get ready for where we were trying to do a witness appeal around those incidents. So at that time, you have to be your mind has to be in that moment. And you can only be in that moment if you've got a fallback contingency. And the way to get a fallback contingency is to get out and get ahead of it. It's not like studying full time. You can set some time aside if you've got to cram the last minute, because that time could be taken away from you just like that. And that's the difference between trying to manage work, manage a social, a family life, and study, take up a course such as a postgrad. Very challenging. Also on the other side, extremely rewarding to come out the other side.
Yeah, brilliant. And sometimes things don't go according to plan, and sometimes you have to adapt. But I think the key message is, Jim, you get there in the end. And we chatted briefly during the week, and you mentioned something that is really, really important, I feel, for anybody who is studying, taking a postgrad program. And you said that for you, it wasn't essentially about time management, it was about energy management.
That's right. And I picked up on that very early. I mean, we have emotional energy, physical energy, and like Paul talked about managing the physical energy. But when you manage it, you've also got to feed that energy and protect it. And by doing, the training, the running that Paul went on, doing the mindfulness exercises, I used to enjoy. We have many walks and cycle routes where I live, and I go with my partner Eva, and I'd use the time also to sound something out, because sometimes you get a concept in your head and it's like a music earworm. You've got to feed it, you've got to get through it and get it out there. And I would say as part of that energy is, when you identify the energy, get out and brainstorm. Get it all out of your head, get it onto paper, laptop, or whatever way you work. And you can do all the fine work afterwards. You can do the editing. You can do the extra research when you identify certain areas that you want to do a deeper dive in. But it's taking advantage of that energy, protecting it and feeding it. Really important.
Yeah, brilliant. And showing as well that studying and completing your academic work, it doesn't have to be completed at the desk. Very much important, when even if you're out for a stroll or you're going off for a coffee, that you can throw ideas around in your head and think about them. And it certainly gives you, it allows you to clarify your thinking. And in your case, thank you for sharing that example of getting the exercise and having a walk and discussing it, discussing your ideas with somebody else and using them as a soundboard. And just conscious of time, Paul, you're a current student. I'm going to come to you for the last word. What advice would you give everybody who has joined us this evening, who's thinking about taking up a postgrad program?
The first advice I would say is just go, just do it, because it's definitely worth it. And I think the best advice I can give is try to organize yourself. It will make things easier for you doing a postgrad year. So yeah, I think a good organization, and just also believe in your skill and strengths.
Yeah, and having it's coming up to a year since I completed my own postgrad studies in DCU in the business school, and certainly when I was toying with the idea of taking on the 2-year part-time executive MBA, somebody said to me, there never is a good time. There's always something happening. Life is busy. There never is a good time to start. So just start. And when you're in there, as you said, Tracey, you do adapt. You do find out what works best. And I think our president said it most effectively when he said, DCU graduates are not just employable, but they are promotable into the future. And with that in mind, I want to thank Jim, Paul, and Tracey. Thank you very much. We have a very, very, very vibrant alumni community. We've 85,000 graduates dotted all around the world, and our graduates stay connected and engaged with the university. And I want to thank you for volunteering your time with the panel 1 discussion and the panel 2 discussion. And thank you so much, and we look forward to engaging with you in the future.